is more than 0.5, so both the quality and the quantity of the embryo at the cleavage stage with normal cleavage and direct cleavage will last for similar. And now we come to the platypus embryo results. The first chart is the dry platypus embryo pro cleavage embryo. The normal cleavage also in green, and the direct cleavage one in blue, direct cleavage two in orange. In this chart, we can see that the platypus dry in the normal cleavage embryo is higher than in direct cleavage embryos. So the platypus formation rate was significantly impaired in embryos displaying direct cleavage. And we come to the second chart, where we compare the quality of the platypus. That means the good platypus embryo in the normal cleavage or the direct cleavage. We can see that the good platypus dry in normal cleavage was slightly higher, maybe higher than direct cleavage, but the differences did not reach the statistical significance. And how about the platypus used for PGT? This chart shows that the platypus in normal cleavage is when we use for PGT is higher than direct cleavage. So significantly lower in using good platypus for PGT in direct cleavage embryos compared to normal platypus. Instead of they have the same morphology, but we have the tendency to use the normal cleavage than the direct cleavage. And the last result is about the ploidy result. We compare the aneuploidy and euploidy of the platypus. We have the result there was no difference in the dry of euploidy between normal cleavage and direct cleavage embryos. And we come to the discussion. We found that 3 studies about have the same design of my study, and 2 with the same mirror and 1 different result. The first study of Jan 2016, the result is the result is that the platypus information dry is decreased in the direct cleavage and have a similar euploidic rise in direct cleavage and non-direct cleavage, that means the normal cleavage. And the study of DC 2018 had the same result, that direct and even cleavage however, is high with low developmental potential, but early embryo candidates were predicted of platypus development but not ploidy status. And about the study of Jacqueline 2020, in platypus with AC is abnormal cleavage. That means the direct cleavage. There was a higher proportion of poor quality and aneuploidy in embryos compared with the normal cleavage embryos. And the question here is that how can the direct cleavage embryo become an euploidic platypus? Yeah, we found 2 theories to explain this. There is an embryo cell correction mechanism, and if the embryo cell correction mechanism occur at the molar stage, that creates partial compaction That means the cell from the irregular division is floated from the molar compaction. You can see here, the abnormal cell was not compact into the molar like the video here. And then the molar will develop into the platypus without the abnormal blastomer. Yes, you can see here this formed cell here, and the rest was developing into the platypus. And we also have a theory to explain the elimination of unploidic cells in the mouse embryo. The theory said that with the mosaic embryo, that means the embryo with the diploid and anaploid in the same embryo, and the anaploidic cell generated at the 8 or at the 4 or 8 cell stage and progressively depleted to the early platypus, from the early platypus to the post-indentation rate, indentation from, and the diploid cell in the same embryos over proliferate. That means create more cells to be replaced for the apoptosis, and the anaploidic cell will generate and progressively depleted by the apoptosis and the diploid cells will overprovide to create many cells to replace the apoptosis cell that can create successful development. And according to our finding, we have many conclusions. Embryos exhibiting direct cleavage in the cleavage stage should be deselected from the phase transfer, and direct cleavage were not related to ploidy status. Direct cleavage were more likely to decrease the platypus formation rate, but when being platypus rate, direct cleavage were similar euclid rate. But we need larger data to confirm the result, especially in the implantation rate with the euploidy embryo come from the direct cleavage. Okay, thank you for attention.